Let's move on to one of the key topics of this podcast. Is Falcon the Winter Soldier. So we're going to talk about episode 2. I've written some notes about.
I've written no notes.
Wow, that's a real. We've really flipped this on its head. Usually you've got pages.
I told you after what happened in WandaVision, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just not doing it anymore.
Pages of fan theories. I haven't got theories. Theories on where the plot will go.
Cool. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay. All right. Should we start with? We'll start with US Agent then. The new Captain America, played by Wyatt Russell. So what do you know about this new Cap?
I know nothing about him apart from what we saw in this episode. I know nothing about his history in the comics or anything.
So he's in the comics called US Agent, and he's like everything. He's been a villain. He's been a hero. He's been an anti-hero. He's usually a villain against Steve Rogers. So. I can't see that happening in this. He's usually more arrogant. He's very brash, and he just has kind of different ideals, but obviously he still wants to serve the country. I mean, do you think he's going to be a villain in this from what you saw, from the episode you saw?
It's going to turn that way, isn't it?
So how I feel it's going. He's obviously quite idealistic, and he's shown at the start that actually he's not a particularly bad guy, but it seems that if people aren't on board with him, he's gonna get them aside. Like obviously he tells Bucky and Sam to stay out of his way. So I think that is kind of where it's going, that he will turn villainous. How I see it going is because he's not a super soldier, is he? He's just
well, they say he's not, but I'm sorry, but when you saw his training montage, you're telling me that he's not pumping himself with something.
Well, he's on the old anabolics.
Mate, the way he threw that shield, I'm sorry, you're telling me that is brute human force?
Yeah.
No chance.
Mate, it's comic book physics. That's all it is. It's comic book physics.
I'm not sure about that.
See, well, how I see it going is because they also made a point of saying, you're, the best a human can be. You're, top dog without any, super soldier serum. And then, also, he fought, what they called? Oh, the Flag Smashers. He fought them and was pretty underprepared for that. He got done. So I think where it will go with they're also going to introduce the Power Broker, and I think he will see that he is out of his depth. He's running around with his little sidekick, Battlestar. Those two, obviously couldn't enlist the help of Bucky and Sam. They're going to be out of their depth, and they are going to go to the Power Broker and probably get some super soldier serum. And from there, they'll be villainous because they've already established that in the MCU that obviously when you become a super soldier, it's very dependent on who you are as a bloke as well. Obviously, Steve Rogers, he became he was a good bloke, became an incredible bloke, and Red Skull was a bad bloke who became an even worse bloke.
Absolutely.
So I think it'll be like that because I think you're starting to see some of his arrogance come through. I think you saw that sort of when he was getting Bucky out of prison and he seemed a bit smarmy. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I agree with everything you said. So who do you reckon the Power Broker is?
Well, so I guess it's always that classic thing, isn't it? The big bad or the real villain behind it all. So the Power Broker, he's a character who has come up more recently in Marvel Comics. He wasn't that big a few years ago, but he's had a few storylines. He's essentially just head of a crime syndicate who has super soldier serum and is selling it to people. So people come to him. He charged them a high price. A lot of people die when they take it, but a lot of people become super soldiers.
I reckon that General Ross is playing a big role in this.
Is he going to be in this? I think he is.
I don't know, but I think he's going to play a massive role in it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think there's a lot of ideals, sort of to do with they need a Captain America because obviously the world is kind of fucked up at the moment after the blip, and you need that symbol, someone to get behind. It's propaganda, and I saw big parallels. He does his scene where he runs across the field, and it's all a big show for red, white, and blue. That's very similar to in the Winter, not the Winter Soldier, the first Avenger, when he was doing his shows on stage. It's very like propaganda,
of course,
spreading the message of America and get behind one another.
Absolutely.
So I think Thunderbolt Ross could have something behind it, definitely. Maybe that was set up for She-Hulk, the She-Hulk series that's coming.
Very probable.
If you think there's super soldier serum, maybe. Oh, here we go. Now we're doing theories.
Yeah, but this is like a very minor thing. Like he's definitely going to play a role in this, right? And also he's in the Black Widow film as well, isn't he? So I reckon the super soldier like storyline which is going through these films and TV series are going to really, really involve Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Well, with the super soldier serum, he is Red Hulk. Maybe that will sort of be a cliffhanger in this that leads into She-Hulk. Who knows? But yeah, so anyways, about the power broker. Yeah, so a big thing of why he is probably behind it is he gets his clients hooked on drugs that he says they need to maintain their powers, but they don't. So that was obviously and that's like a theory that the Flag Smashers, they were breaking into those lorries, stealing all those drugs, that they believed that is what they need because they've now become hooked on it. Okay. So he doesn't want them to have it. And there is your theory in a nutshell.
Interesting. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I was surprised because I wasn't particularly looking forward to this series. I'm not going to lie to you. But after watching the second episode, I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, and I wasn't massively looking forward to it. I thought, it's just going to be one of those spy crime thriller kind of MCU films, sort of like the Winter Soldier. And, Winter Soldier's a fantastic film, but it's not massively engaging knowing that sort of the huge comic book stories we've got. But I was surprised, like, the social issues this series went into, when they introduced Isa Bradley, which was a cool introduction, and then
I hope we get more of that. He
was great, wasn't he? That was really cool seeing him in that, and talking about obviously he was a black super soldier, but wouldn't be accepted.
We basically had a black Captain America years ago, and never ever heard anything about it.
Well, because obviously they didn't want him basically.
Well, it's massive. Like that needs to be explained more. We need to go more into that. Big time. I also read as well that his nephew in the comics, I can't remember what his name is, but he plays a role in the Young Avengers as well. The guy that answered the door to them both.
Yes, that's his grandson, who is Patriot in the comics.
That's it. Yeah.
So I think with him, do you think we're getting? I think the MCU are preparing Young Avengers because they've got now. I've written down. So they've introduced Patriot. They're doing a Mrs. Marvel series. Obviously, you've introduced Wiccan and Speed, who were Wanda's kids, and obviously they haven't gone yet because obviously in the post-credit they do call out for their mum, so I think maybe they will be playing a part in it. And we're getting an
Mephisto has been.
Mephisto, yeah, fucking. And Ironheart, we're getting an Ironheart series, and she's,
there's too many of them though.
What do you mean?
It's like every kid they introduce who's a teenager is now part of the Young Avengers. You've also got like Kate Bishop.
Oh yeah, Kate Bishop. Yeah.
You've got Ant-Man's daughter as well.
Yeah, got Ant-Man's daughter. Who else?
There's too many of them. And there was always bloody talk as well about at the funeral scene. You had the kid from Iron Man 3, right? There's all this talk about all of them. Apparently, I actually read these quotes from Kevin Feige about 2 weeks ago, and they were asking him, "Are you preparing for a Young Avengers show, like introducing all these characters?" And he actually said something along the lines of, "It basically depends on how the audience reacts to the characters."
I think that edition of Isa Bradley was probably my favourite part of it, and it fleshes out the MCU even more because he says he beat Bucky, didn't he? He ripped off his arm. I think they say.
Yeah.
Ripped off his arm. He was just curious if he'd come to kill him. I wonder how old that guy is. How old is he supposed to be?
Good question.
Yeah, he might because he was in the Korean War. So what was that, like the 50s, 60s? So he must be 80s, 90s now. But I wonder if he'll play more of a role in it, or if that's just kind of him, one and done.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think he has to play more of a role. But then again, we've only got 6 episodes. What are you going to do? We're already halfway through the show.
I don't think he will. I think that was just the jumping off point to talk about social issues of racism, and obviously that scene. Then they're talking about, because that whole segment is it starts with, I think Falcon bumps into that kid and he calls him Black Falcon, and he's like, well, why am I Black Falcon? You know, I'm just Falcon. And they talk about he calls Bucky White Panther, doesn't he? And he's saying no, it's like the White Wolf and whatever. And then it goes into the Isa Bradley scene. They talk about, there was a black super soldier and look what people did to him. They tested on him and it's terrible. And then obviously they try to arrest Falcon. How could you not know that was Falcon?
Well, I thought all of it was excellent. All of the way, they were bringing all that stuff up, all the the racial stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. It was quite subtle in a way.
There'll be a lot of people in this world be like, oh, don't bring politics and into it. But it's Captain America. He is literally just politics. That's all he is. And
that's another thing, actually. That's another thing that they talk about, isn't it? The what's his name, Corey? Is it Isaiah? Did you say? What was his name? Sorry.
Who the super soldier? Isa Bradley.
Isa Bradley, right. So he mentions, obviously, your people, obviously referring to Hydra.
Yes.
Which is quite cool. And now they're obviously going to Zemo. And I just think it's cool, man. And we had this conversation, didn't we, during WandaVision, about how we reckon they're trying to ease the whole Hydra stuff. They're definitely not easing the Hydra stuff. Hydra is still
maybe it's all Hydra again.
Beat. Yeah.
We'll never get rid of Hydra. What do you think? So obviously, we're getting Zemo very soon. Do you think Zemo is the man pulling the strings behind the scenes, or is he just he's then gonna break out and just run amok anyway?
Well, I think we spoke when we were reacting to a trailer that it looks as though they are. There was a shot where they were all sort of like confiding in one another and they were all discussing stuff. So that's obviously what's going to happen in the next episode. And yeah, I don't think he will turn out to be the big bad of this, but I reckon come the end of the series, he will break out.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a case.
He'll just be a character. It will be like a Silence of the Lambs Hannibal Lecter situation where like he's not the main villain of the film, but at the end he's out. Do you know what I mean, sort of thing? Like
he's out wandering about with his mask. Lovely.